Back here on CBS Sports HQ, if the season in the NFL ended today, the Chiefs would not make the playoffs. They've dropped 2 straight, coming off a loss to the Broncos. KC 5-5, their worst 10-game start since 2015. 2015 was also the last time they didn't win the division. And winning the division seems like it's slipping away week by week as they sit behind the Chargers and behind, of course, the Broncos, who are leading that division. But what about just making the playoffs in general? Here's more from our very own Tony Romo on KC's playoff hopes. Take a listen.
There's no guarantee they make the playoffs, and that's crazy to think about. Jacksonville winning today was concerning because now it was okay if Kansas City won this game today. Not only does Denver come back a game, but the Chargers lost to Jacksonville. So then you're like, okay, they picked up a game on both teams, and they also still end up playing the Chargers. So you're like, okay, that's not that concerning fully, and with Denver, the whole situation. But now that they lost, they're chasing Jacksonville. The division is most likely gone, and if they get that, then things change dramatically. But Jacksonville beat them head-to-head, so now they're in this position to where you're a full 2 games behind them. So you don't have much room for error, and it's rare for the Chiefs not to have much room for error in November. I mean, this next game against Indy becomes huge, to say the least.
All right, and Tony Romo laying that out nicely on HQ last night, by the way, saying this game against Indy is huge. Rand Carthon, Mackenzie Brooks joining us here to discuss the Chiefs and the interesting situation that we're seeing with them right now that we're not used to seeing. So, Rand, I'll come to you first here because it is huge, right? And Tony Romo laid it all out there. Sportsline, by the way, giving the Chiefs a 36% chance to make the playoffs if they lose against Indy. We never want to count out this team because they've been there before. They've backdoored their way into the playoffs. We've seen them do it. But, I mean, maybe should we? Is it time that we start to get a little concerned and feel like, hey, maybe this is the year they actually missed the playoffs for once in like a decade?
Is there a level of concern? Absolutely. But, again, if there's one team that you don't want to bet against, it's the Chiefs. And I'll say this, with their remaining schedule, and I have it here in front of me, there is room for one more loss. I do believe there's room for one more loss in there, but after that, it's you got to win out. Wherever that loss comes in, you have to win out. But the thing I want to talk about, too, with them is they've lost to the 3 teams that are currently sitting ahead of them in the wild card spot. So that's a spot for them. They're going to have to close out here strong. And if anyone can do it, it's Andy Reid, it's Patrick Mahomes. And so you don't want to look too far away from them at this point, but we should be concerned.
What do the Sportsline numbers say about their path winning or losing this game this week against the Colts? It really feels like that could be the one that swings it.
Yeah, you look at the next 3 weeks, I'd say you have to go 2-1. You want to go 3-0, and we give them the best chance of all the scenarios to go 3-0. We give them around a 37% chance, around a 25 to go 2-1. 0-3 in these next 3 games is what kills you. If you do lose this game this weekend against the Colts, you're essentially like Notre Dame of the college football playoff, win or go home. There is really no wiggle room. Obviously, the Cowboys, ideally, it's those 2 home games, AFC home games specifically, coming up that become very, very crucial for them. With the loss, as you mentioned, 36%, that is the lowest of the Patrick Mahomes era we've ever had. So that's crazy to think about here. But again, like you were saying, it's obviously winning this game against the Colts is great, but they're not really the fish you're trying to fry right now, right? They're playing for a division title. You're playing for a wild card spot where you have a loss against the Chargers and you have a loss against the Jags. That is what's killing them right now, and that's why you're seeing these low numbers across the league, too. I mean, all these teams that are supposed to be taking division spots are now fighting for a wild card, which is a really crazy situation to be in. We give them a good chance to win the upcoming games, 65% against a few teams as well. But again, 57 right now, can move up to 67 with a win, but drop to 36 with a loss.
Well, that's a huge difference. That's depending on win or loss here, it's a 1-3 chance you get in or a 2-3 chance you get in if you win. They're probably hoping this isn't a 1-score game against the Colts because, Rand, they just have not won any of those games this season, which is crazy considering they were 12-0 in 1-score games last season, but 0-5 this season. How do you lose these toss-up games when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, who usually is the difference?
I think this year, I think they don't have an identity. And that was the one thing I kept, coming back to. What is their identity? What is the identity of this Kansas City Chiefs team? And I still couldn't answer the question because whatever your identity is, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you're Andy Reid, you're Patrick Mahomes, whatever it is, be that. right? We talk about it a lot on these shows about them needing to add to the backfield. Their running game needs to pick it up. Well, when has their running game ever been strong enough to carry this football team? It's never been that, but it was components of the run game that have helped them along the way, whether that was using Jet McKinnon out of the backfield to create these one-on-one matchups against linebackers in the passing game to extend drives. And now you don't have a healthy Pacheco and you have an aging Kareem Hunt. There is no threat there out of the backfield. And so you got to try to find some type of identity. But again, we don't know what the identity of this team is at this point.
It's crazy. The running back room, I mean, the season high for any running back is 60 yards. Like, that's what they're cracking here, and that's clearly an issue. I think their actual stats and numbers look good enough, but I think a lot of the running back and just the rushing stats they have is skewed by Patrick Mahomes earlier in the season using his legs, which shouldn't be what's carrying your running back stats and your ground game in general. A lot of what we look at is home and road splits. A lot of the nature of the games they've played on the road have been tougher, but they have a negative point differential on the road. The yards per pass attempt allowed, they're ranked second to last in the league on the road, and they're first at home, allowing just 6 yards at home. So that gap is why you're seeing such a difference when we have them going on the road in the model projections and those scores versus at home. Obviously, they do have those two key AFC North, or excuse me, just AFC games in general at home coming up. But I think that's been their issue, is what's been happening on the road.
All right, and we love to play hypotheticals, right? So if the Chiefs miss the playoffs, it'll be, the first time in over a decade that has happened. And Rand, I'll come to you here. Is there, do we just chalk it up to like an off year, or do you think this means that there are serious issues that have to be addressed in the offseason for this team?
No, I'm going to call it just an off year because you got to think to start the year you were without Rashee Rice for an extended period of time. Xavier Worthy missed time after getting injured in week 1. And so you were put in a hole early, right? Just in terms of having guys that were not healthy, key components to the passing game that weren't healthy. And then let's be real. We all love Travis Kelce. We're all following his love story and all of that goodness. But he is at the end of his career. And so we've seen a decline in his play over the last couple years, and we're seeing the end of Travis Kelce. So to me, if they don't make the playoffs, which I will go out on a limb and say I think they get in because I'm not a big believer in this Chargers team being able to finish strong and maintain their spot. But I think if in the event that they don't make the playoffs, I think this is just a one-off. This would allow Andy Reid and his staff to retool, reimagine how they want to build this team moving forward, and then they'll be right back in the hunt next year. Yeah,
I know it's the obvious answer, but starting with a running back, just a more explosive running back, doesn't even have to be the best running back since sliced bread. Just a little bit more of a kick than what you're getting out of that back room right now, and even maybe a younger tight end too as well, depending on what the draft looks like. I think that's something they definitely benefit from as well.
Rand thinks they make it. Do you?
I do. That's a personal statement, not a numbers coding statement here. But I really do think there's a good chance they go 3-0 in these next 3 games here. And again, the teams they're competing with, the Jags and the Chargers, I think there's no offense, Jacqueline, a pretty good chance maybe the Jags don't hold on to that spot as well. So enough chaos and cannibalization could happen here in the AFC that they sneak their way in. All right, as we pointed out coming into this thing, they lose the tiebreaker to the Jacksonville Jaguars thanks to that crazy touchdown.
Baby, let's go.
What an impact that one play could have on the AFC playoff picture moving forward, because Kansas City can't finish tied with Jacksonville. Kansas City needs to finish ahead of Jacksonville. So basically they are 2 games out of that last playoff spot. But there are the Chargers, only a game up on Kansas City in the loss column, and Rand thinks that maybe that's the team that will falter down the stretch. CBS Sports Game Day Recap with Rand.
Look at Rand.
Pete, Damian, Haley.
I made it, Mama.
8:20 Eastern Time, recapping everything that they saw earlier in the day in the NFL.